Hello, we meet again on QPVN News. I'm Nguyễn, and now let me keep you up to date with headlines. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính works with Haiphong City on Typhoon Yagi consequence mitigation. National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn begins official visit to Russia. Vietnamese language, a loving bridge of connection. On September the 8th, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính chaired a conference to assess the response to Typhoon number 3, internationally known as Typhoon Yagi, and implement urgent measures to address the aftermath. The Prime Minister directed relevant forces and local authorities to swiftly mitigate the consequences of the typhoon and prepare for the potential floods and landslides that could follow. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính conveyed messages of sympathy from Party General Secretary and President Tô Lâm, as well as other key leaders of the party and state, to families and agencies and localities affected by Typhoon Yagi. He also commanded ministries, local authorities, the military, police, and other forces involved in disaster prevention and recovery efforts. The Ministry of National Defense has mobilized 383,672 troops and 5,318 vehicles to assist in disaster response. These forces have actively monitored the typhoon's developments, timely carried out response plans, relocated residents to safety, and participated in search and rescue operations. The Prime Minister emphasized the urgent need to prioritize saving lives, conducting thorough searches for missing persons, providing medical treatments for the injured, and arranging funeral services for the deceased. He also called for a prompt resolution of power, water, telecommunications, and other infrastructure issues, alongside the restoration of business operations and the livelihood of the people. He stressed the importance of remaining vigilant against post-typhoon impacts such as flash floods, landslides, and soil erosion. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính ordered the Ministry of National Defense, Ministry of Public Security, and other search and rescue forces to stay on standby for immediate disaster relief and recovery operations. He urged citizens, businesses, agencies, and localities unaffected by the storm to extend their support to those impacted, encouraging the spirit of national solidarity. On the afternoon of the same day, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính inspected and worked with Haiphong City on the response to and consequence mitigation effort of Typhoon Yagi. Senior Lieutenant General Vũ Hải Sản, Deputy Defense Minister, and Lieutenant General Nguyễn Xuân Anh, Deputy Chief of the General Staff of the Vietnam People's Army, attended the working session. At the working session, Prime Minister Chính lauded the city's authorities for leading the typhoon prevention and control work, the local authorities, armed forces, and people for seriously implementing directives of the Prime Minister and instructions of functional agencies, the local armed forces and youth for quickly carrying out the typhoon consequence mitigation effort. It can be seen clearly that Typhoon Yagi left devastating consequences on localities including Haiphong City. The Prime Minister asked the relevant agencies and units to review and carry out support work for the victims of the typhoon, while urgently deploying forces to engage in mitigation efforts for telecommunication signal to soon be restored, children to come back to school, and production to be resumed. Earlier on the morning of September the 8th, Senior Lieutenant General Phùng Sĩ Tấn, Deputy Chief of the General Staff of the Vietnam People's Army, led a delegation from the General Staff to inspect and direct military units participating in the recovery efforts following Typhoon number 3 across various streets in Hanoi. From early morning, hundreds of officers and soldiers from Brigade 144 and the Logistics Department of the General Staff, in coordination with local militia forces, officers and soldiers from the Hoàn Kiếm District Military Command under the Hanoi Capital Command, and workers from the city's Green Tree Company, quickly mobilized equipment and specialized cutting machines to clear fallen trees. By midday, the streets of Phan Đình Phùng, Nguyễn Tri Phương, Lý Nam Đế, and surrounding areas were largely restored, with traffic flow returning to normal. Across the entire city on the night of September 7th and throughout September the 8th, a total of 10,000 officers and soldiers from the armed forces of Hanoi and locally stationed military units, along with over 300 specialized vehicles, were mobilized to address the typhoon's aftermath. Collaborating with local authorities, they cleared more than 2,800 fallen trees to reopen roads for the public. The Coast Guard force on the morning of September the 8th successfully rescued 43 crew members on 8 vessels in distress in the Gulf of Tonkin due to Typhoon YAGI. These victims were safely brought onshore on the same day. In detail, at 5 p.m. on September the 8th, Coast Guard Region 1 Command deployed Coast Guard Ship 8004 and 2 vessels coded 721 and 722 to carry out search and rescue mission in the Gulf of Tonkin. The Coast Guard force quickly approached the distressed vessels and rescued 43 victims. On the afternoon of the same day, in Hạ Long City, Quảng Ninh Province, these victims were handed over to Quảng Ninh Bodyguard Command. The victims are crew members on barges, tugboats, and transport ships that were sunk by Typhoon YAGI, crashed into mountains, and ran aground in the area of Hạ Long Bay. The Coast Guard force on duty round the clock, ready for search and rescue operations at sea. Coming up next, National Assembly Chairman Chen Hình-mẫn begins official visit to Russia. Vietnamese language, a loving bridge of connection. On September the 8th, a high-ranking Vietnamese National Assembly's delegation, led by its chairman Chen Hình-mẫn, arrived in Vnukovo International Airport in Moscow, beginning a 3-day official visit to Russia. The National Assembly chairman will co-chair the 3rd session of the Vietnam-Russia Inter-Parliamentary Cooperation Committee. This is the first official visit to Russia by Chairman Chen Hình-mẫn in his capacity as chairman of the National Assembly. It is also the first visit to Russia by a key Vietnamese leader this year. The visit aims to realize the joint statement on deepening the bilateral comprehensive strategic partnership based on the 30-year achievements of implementing the Treaty on Principles of Friendly Relations between Vietnam and Russia. It also helps realize cooperation agreements reached in the phone talks between General Secretary and President Tô Lâm and President Vladimir Putin on August the 8th. National Assembly Chairman Chen Hình-mẫn is scheduled to hold talks with Chairman of the State Duma of the Federal Assembly of Russian Federation. The two leaders will co-chair the 3rd session of the Vietnam-Russia Inter-Parliamentary Cooperation Committee. He will also hold talks with Chairwoman of the Federation Council of the Federal Assembly and sign a new cooperation agreement between the Vietnamese National Assembly and the Federation Council. His agenda includes meetings with high-ranking leaders of the Russian state and major political parties, leaders from regions of Russia. Recently, a ceremony honoring the Vietnamese language took place in Vientiane, marking a step toward making annual Vietnamese Language Day, September the 8th, a significant cultural and spiritual mark for the Vietnamese community in Laos. The event was jointly held by the Vietnamese Embassy in Laos, the Vietnamese Association in Vientiane, and the Coordinating Board of the Vietnam Buddhist Sangha in Laos. The ceremony featured many rich and meaningful activities such as telling Vietnamese stories, understanding each other through Vietnamese, and ringing the Golden Bell competition. Through the competition, the organizers hope to further raise the awareness of the overseas Vietnamese in Laos towards the Vietnamese language, the preservation and promotion of national cultural identity, contributing to building a stable, united, strong, and homeland-oriented overseas Vietnamese in Laos. On this occasion, the embassy awarded certificates of merit and prizes to 3 contestants who made it to the final round of the 2024 Search for Vietnamese Language Ambassadors Abroad competition. September the 8th marks 1 year since the implementation of the project on honoring the Vietnamese language in the overseas Vietnamese community for the 2023-2030 period. Learning and teaching Vietnamese is not just about learning a foreign language, but is also a bridge to help international friends understand more about the identity and culture of Vietnam. This is also a way for Vietnamese people living far from home to ease their homesickness. Having settled in Sweden for a long time, Lan Hương still remembers her homeland in Vietnam with many unforgettable memories. Especially, she always wants her little daughter to know how to speak Vietnamese and understand Vietnamese culture. My daughter was born in Sweden, living in an area with few Vietnamese people, so there was no community. When she went to her kindergarten, she spoke Swedish and I taught her Vietnamese at home. My parents took me to many places in Vietnam and discovered many beautiful places, including the THANH River Bridge. I can speak Vietnamese, English, and Swedish. This is a space imbued with Vietnamese culture in Brussels, Belgium. A Vietnamese bookshelf with 300 books of various genres has encouraged reading culture for the young generation here. The Vietnamese bookcase was launched due to a process of selecting books, gathering and transporting books within 6 months. This is also the efforts of the Vietnamese Embassy in Belgium, the General Association of Vietnamese in Belgium, and many individuals. In the Republic of Korea, people can also join the Loving Vietnamese Language class, which is for children of Vietnamese Korean multicultural families and Koreans who want to learn Vietnamese in Hwaseong City, Gyeonggi Province. In Japan, Russia, France, the US, and many Southeast Asian countries, learning and teaching Vietnamese has become an annual, diverse, and interesting activity, attracting many international friends. Vietnamese is not only a language but also a culture and a love that people living far away from home want to spread and maintain, no matter where they are in the world. More than 900 delegates from 9 ASEAN member countries attended the 38th ASEAN Council of Teachers plus Korea, or ACT plus 1 for short, convention, which took place from September the 6th to the 8th in Bangkok, Thailand. This year's convention, themed Promoting Happy Schooling and Sustainability in Education, set out 3 important objectives, including cooperation in promoting knowledge and mutual understanding related to ASEAN's philosophy and activities, as well as the spirit and culture of the ASEAN people. Promotion and cooperation among ASEAN countries in participating in mutually beneficial projects and programs related to teachers, educational sciences, and culture, and support members in developing educational activities focused on promoting ASEAN's goals and ideas. This is a necessary forum for exchanging ideas and experiences and provides an opportunity for the participants to enhance educational capacity, potential in shaping the future of a sustainable education network in the ASEAN region. The convention adopted a resolution on sustainable education through effective management, equity, and environmental awareness, enhancing the rights and status of teachers through continuous professional development and training, and building equitable and sustainable education models, ensuring that all students become happier and stronger. Years ago, many hilly areas in Bù Chai District, Quảng Bình Province were where rubber trees were planted. However, after the failure of the rubber tree, farmers are gradually changing their thinking and have succeeded in crop restructuring with highly sustainable and economic efficiency. About 5 years ago, Nguyễn Văn Hân in Lý Trạch Commune, Bù Chai District, boldly rented nearly 3 hectares of hilly land to plant more than 2,000 Taiwanese guava trees. To develop a product brand, he has established the Phúc Lộc Agricultural Service and General Trade Cooperative with 7 members. Our cooperative has 10 hectares for organic farming. My family has more than 3 hectares. The annual income after deducting all expenses is about $20,000. In Việt Trung Farm Townlet, Nguyễn Văn Diệm has converted 4 hectares of hilly land growing rubber trees to red-fleshed jackfruit trees. With 1,700 jackfruit trees, since the beginning of the season, his family has sold 3 batches with over 15 tons of high-quality red-fleshed jackfruit. This hill used to be for planting rubber trees, but they couldn't adapt to climate change. After researching, I found that red-fleshed jackfruit trees are suitable with the soil, have high productivity, and can adapt to climate change, so I decided to plant them. Currently, many farmers in Việt Trung Farm Townlet have restructured their crops from growing low-quality, low-value ones on hilly lands to growing jackfruit and many other fruit trees with higher economic efficiency. The association has actively promoted the conversion of crops and livestock to the people. It has shown positive changes in potential crops. Fruit growing areas have expanded to 179 hectares, of which red-fleshed jackfruit are growing on 32 hectares and with over 10 hectares already in harvest time. Currently, Bố Trạch District is supporting people to restructure and cultivate crops according to VietGAP standards and plans to build red-fleshed jackfruit into OCOP product in the near future. The townlet's Farmers Association is also connecting and aiming to expand production and ensure product output for farmers. And that's all for now. Remember, you can always watch the news again at QPVN.vn. Now, thank you for watching and hope to see you next time.